Hey everybody, it's your girl Shannon, and this is Shannon On Demand, where we discuss how to take demand of your business to demand a better life. And our special guest today is Miss Sheletta Fisher. Sheletta Fisher is a life and business transformationalist. She's also a biz credit concierge. And what that means is that she helps business owners position their companies for credit and funding they desire by leveraging other people's money. Sheletta has a VIP done for you business credit service where she does all the heavy lifting for you by way of structuring and building your business credit. Well, hey Sheletta, and how are you doing, girl?
Hi, Shannon. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, girl, I'm doing really good. And I want to just thank you for taking time out to be with us, because I know that you're busy and everybody else is going to see just how busy you are once we get into this interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I think first and foremost, because we have a lot of like-minded people that view these videos, we want to talk about entrepreneurship in general. So why was entrepreneurship the right vehicle for you?
Entrepreneurship was the right vehicle for me because I'm all about freedom. Everything that concerns me deals with my life. I'm always focusing on the freedom of that. And so I worked in corporate America over 20 some years without telling my age. And you know, it was an experience. It wasn't a bad experience, and I wouldn't say that it was a good experience, but I just always focused on freedom. I didn't want to be controlled. You know, you got 15 minutes to have a break, you got a 30-minute lunch, you know, and it was just systematic. And so I'm all about breaking the systems, breaking the rules, and doing what's best for you. You know, so some people, corporate is best for them. It wasn't best for me. And so I wanted to be able to travel the world. I wanted to be able to work anywhere in the world. I wanted to be able to impact the lives of people. And I knew I couldn't do that working 8 to 5. By the time I got off at 5, I was too tired to do anything else. So I stepped out on faith, jumped out on a limb and say, hey, you know, let's do this. And so that's how I got into full-time entrepreneurship. I've always had a business. I've always done things on the side, even working in corporate, and I call that parallelpreneur. And so, right. And so it was like, at one point I was like, you know what? It's time now. It's time for me to go full time, because I knew I had a mission and an assignment to do. And that looks in the business world, you know, like helping people establish their companies, making sure that they're structured correctly. And I jumped into full-time entrepreneurship.
And let me tell you something, you know, for those who are not business minded, that makes absolutely no sense, what you just said. But I totally get it. I totally get it. And it has nothing to do with you feeling like you're better than, but it has everything to do with your purpose and what your mission is. And like you said, corporate America is for some folks. It wasn't for me.
Right.
At all. All right. So I can relate with that as well. You know, a lot of times when people see us launching our business and, oh, we've got such and such business and XYZ business, they really don't know all that went into getting XY business. All they can see is the fruit of your labor and not necessarily what it took to get there. So kind of walk us through that step process that you went through, you know, kind of like the background stuff that we don't
Absolutely. See. Let me say this. I always tell people,
look, we're getting ready to go ahead. As soon as you said, oh boy, I was like, oh my goodness, we're getting ready to get into
it. No, listen, because we live in an informational world system right now. So you can go to Google, you can go to YouTube, you can go to social media platforms, and you can get all of this information. I tell people, don't judge your chapter 1 by somebody's chapter 7. Because you don't know what that person had to go through or deal with to get there, right? So a lot of times we look at social media and we feel like, oh, well, I want this type of life because this person is living in this type of home, they're driving this type of car, and they have this type of business. And a lot of these things some people are living like that, and that's perfectly fine. It's no judgment. But when I started out, I invested thousands of dollars into coaching programs, mentorships, courses. So this is not a fly-by-night, jump off the bus, go be an entrepreneur type thing, right?
You were prepared.
I was preparing. Exactly. I have a community of women, beautiful, amazing sisters that I am connected to. So even when I made the transition out of corporate, I was already building my business on the back end. I didn't just say, oh, this is it, I'm quitting my job, I'm gonna go start a business. No, I had to prepare myself. There were systems that were put in place. Right. I have systems that are working for me when I'm asleep. And guess what? These systems cost money. You're going to be paying. So when people say, oh, I made 6 figures for the year, my question to an entrepreneur is, how much did you profit?
Oh boy, big difference. Yes.
So I can make 6 figures. I don't have a problem with making money. Money going to come to me. I'm a creative. That's what I do. But how much am I profiting? Because there are systems that have to be in place. There are people that you're gonna have. It's a saying that says, if you want to go somewhere, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with a team.
That's right.
So you have to make sure that you're able to build a team. You have to make sure that you have those leadership skills in position. Some people say, well, I'm just not a people person. Well, you definitely don't need to be in entrepreneurship.
And that is so true. And then another thing I wanted to point out too is, in the social media world, people allow you to see what they want you to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they can go through the whole nine of showing you how they're living, and that could be the farthest thing from the truth. Absolutely. Not even close to what their reality is. So you can't go by what you see on social media. So You're definitely right about that.
Right. And so what I would say to someone who is aspiring entrepreneurship, or someone who is getting ready to say, I'm ready to fire my boss and I'm ready to step into this arena of entrepreneurship, is definitely get with a community. Find your tribe, find a community that's going to support you. Also, don't be so focused. I know people say, well, I don't think anybody support my business. Well, I'm gonna be honest. If you're giving something of value, I don't go to Target because I'm supporting Target. I go to Target because I need something from Target.
Right.
So if you're giving something of value, people that I only work with people who value their time. I work with people who have more money than time. So I work with people who are building companies, building their businesses, but they don't have time to build business credit. So they hire me for that. They hire me to make sure that their businesses are structured to where they can get funding. That's who I work with. I don't work with people who have more time than money. That, if you got a lot of time on your hands, you can go do your stuff yourself.
You can do it yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, you can do it yourself. But I work with people who says, you know what, I don't have time to do that. And I want to make sure that when I get ready to get the capital for 150K, 250K, I want to make sure that my business is structured correctly on the front end. Those are the people that I work with. And so I would say, do those type of inventories, write down those questions and make sure that those questions are filled out completely. Like, do I have a tribe? Am I bringing something of value to my community? And then once you answer those questions, then absolutely. And I will say, I don't know who made this entrepreneurship like the popular thing or whatever. It's not for the faint at heart. But for every challenge, there is a solution. Just know that.
And another thing that I also wanted to point out, and I think that you're just a little too modest to point it out, those persons who are going to you for your service know that you're going to be able to provide them not only the value, but the results that they're looking for.
They're going to get
because it has to be result driven. It's
always result driven.
I mean, even when I was selling a product, we're service based, But
Right.
even if you're actually selling a product, even that product has a solution. It's meeting something. It has an end result, right?
Yeah. If it's a candle, is that candle going to put me in a relaxed mode? You know, what ingredients does that candle have? Is able to relax me.
That's
I love candles. That's why I'm saying that.
Girl,
But
I'm looking at mine burning right now.
Look, mine too. Any product that I use, it's definitely serving a result to me. It's giving me a result. So
That's right. That's right. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of times, even when I'm coaching, I make sure that there's a plan in place, right? But you can't be so stringent with that plan that it's not flexible, that you can't bend it when you need to bend it. And one perfect example of you having to bend that plan was when we had to go through that quarantine.
Oh,
that's perfect example. So, you know, just because we're kind of coming out of it, can you just share with us a little bit about what you had to do just to kind of get through that quarantine?
So, going through the quarantine, of course, you know, a lot of people was isolated. And I'm gonna be honest, it worked for my business because at the time I was focusing on inner healing. I was focusing on inner healing coaching. And I believe that the quarantine, because it caused a lot of people to be isolated. So for example, if you lived alone, you know, by yourself, then you was quarantined by yourself. And so it caused, when you're in a state like that, it caused you to see you. And just
the good, the bad, and the ugly, literally.
And let's just be honest. Sometimes when we see us, it's not all the time a beautiful sight, right?
Right.
And so my business actually began to like take off because I was in a community with Shannon Yvette, and I was doing worthy coaching. And so with worthy coaching, we are teaching women how to honor their voice, how to heal the inner child inside of them, how to affirm themselves, and, you know, how to just stand in the truth that you are worthy. You know, I come from the church. So in church, sometimes they would say, especially old school church would say, you ain't worthy, ain't nobody worthy but God. You know, and it wasn't intentional, but I don't think that they realized that was pretty much tearing you down inside, because God don't make anything that's not worthy.
That's right.
So, so it was a lot in the quarantine. It was a lot of unlearning that I had to do as well. I know a lot. I'm a very knowledgeable, intellectual woman, but it was a lot that I had to unlearn. And so it was going through the process, but the greatest thing about that process was I was able to bring women along that journey with
you. Perfect. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's needed and necessary. And I'm pretty sure that when you initially had your plan, some of that wasn't part of the initial plan.
None of that was part of the initial plan. None of it, literally. And it was because, you know, people desire to be better. And my mission is to always leave somebody better than what I found them. If that is an encouraging word, you know, I mean, whatever it is, if it's a smile, you know, I just want to be an impact. That's my mission, to be an impact in this earth. And so my entire business pivoted during the quarantine. We had to get used to Zoom meetings.
Right.
You know, and it also gave me another type of appreciation for community.
Yes.
To be able to, now that we're able to come back outside, still take the precautions that needs to be taken, but we're able to literally be in a physical room with someone else. It means a lot. It taught me personally how to appreciate those relationships. You know, how to appreciate going over to a girlfriend's house and drink, you know, having tea, or, you know, having a conversation.
Just things you take for granted.
It was those things that we took for granted. It taught me personally now to appreciate that. So absolutely.
Now, let me just say this. You were talking about impact, and there is no greater impact in any community than small business. And we know that money answers all things. So in order for business, especially small business, to continue to make that impact, then they need to be in a position where they're making money. So we need to get into business credit, why it is important, what's the difference between that versus your personal credit, and what it is that Miss Sheletta Fisher does to make sure that they're getting business credit and leveraging somebody else's money. How do we go about doing that?
Awesome. I love that. I love those questions, right? So I light up when I'm talking about business credit, because I guess the first question somebody would say, well, how did she go from inner healing coaching to business credit? That's the first, I get that all the time. Like, you a life coach? You was doing inner healing coaching? How did that go into business credit? So my business pivoted during the quarantine, y'all. So what I noticed was a lot of women who had gone through traumatic experiences and had not healed, it showed up in every area of their lives. It showed up in every relationship, whether it was monogamous or platonic. It just showed up. It just showed up everywhere. It just started showing up. But the thing was, I noticed that a lot of the women, after we would go through that inner healing and they would begin to heal, they realized that, let's just be honest. When it comes to male versus female, women get paid the lowest. We're the lowest paid on on the scale. Men can have the same position as we have, but we get paid lower. And a part of that is because we don't know how to demand, this is what this is our salary, this is what we're going to get paid, this is what I'm bringing to the table. Most of the time I am the table. So what I did was, a lot of the women that I work with, even in the coaching arena, they are women in leadership positions. They are women who have their own businesses, who's building businesses, but that healing process that they was going in was keeping them afraid to just really step out there, right? Afraid to just really show up, afraid to just really honor who they are at the core, and then make that come out in their companies. So long story short, we were in a coaching class one day, and one of the ladies said that her coach or mentor was paying a lot of money to get funding or trying to get capital for her company, and she had paid somebody so much money, and she was just not having really good success with this thing called building business credit, right?
Right.
And so I said, well, all she has to do is A, B, C, D, and E. And then my coach and sister, Nicole Cooper, she was just like, Sheletta, what did you just say? So I said, all she has to do is make sure her business is structured. She got to make sure she has her EIN. She has to make sure that she has the LLC. Then she needs to go and open up a business bank account. She needs to make sure that she has a virtual.
You was just rattling
I was just going, right? Because I had done this for myself.
Yeah.
I built my own business credit.
Right.
So Nicole was like, why? And be reminded, this was a course that I was in to build out a coaching class that I was in to build out a course. And I'm like trying to say, okay, I want to build out a course for the women who's going through inner healing and da-da-da-da. And she was like, why aren't you teaching people business credit? She was like, that's all you gotta do is to you. But to somebody who doesn't know that, that's all huge. They have to do.
Huge. Right.
They don't know this.
Right.
So that's the day that my business actually pivoted. And she was like, people need to know this. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started focusing on helping these companies get the funding, small business owners get the funding that they needed. One of my clients, I remember when I first took her on, she was just like, well, I started building my business credit, but I'm getting denied for everything. And it was because of the structure on the front end. So I will say this. If you're ready to start building your business credit, you want to make sure that your business is positioned to get the funding, not the short-term net 30 accounts, because like I say, we live in an informational world. So the first thing they're going to say, well, you just start off with your net 30 accounts, which is your Quill, your Granger, your Uline, and you go open up the accounts in the net 30 accounts. It's more to it than that. Let me say this. Business credit is changing drastically. Because in the year of 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, there were 4.4 million businesses that was being registered with the Secretary of State in each state.
And I'm a witness to that, because you are telling the absolute truth. I mean, just in Louisiana alone, you are. And it's because, just like you said, during that quarantine, you had the opportunity to look at self. Where am I? I've always said I wanted to get that business started. So you know what? Now is the time to get the business started, because I'm not even sure if I'm going to have a job to go back to. So it was self-reflection for everybody. You know, one thing that you mentioned was that, well, how did you go from being a freedom coach to... Look, it is all hand in hand, because I know from personal experience that if you can get everything situated on your personal side, and you're free, right? From, you know, inner hurts and past things that have happened. And then you try to start a business and the business isn't healthy. Guess what? Stress starts. All sorts of other things start. You become emotionally distressed. And so now you are literally taking 4 steps back when you just got finished taking 6 steps forward. So it goes hand in hand. So really, you can't have one without the other. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, let's just put it that way. We don't want to be one of those serial entrepreneurs that everything is opening today and then, you know, 6 months down the line it's closed. So you may have opened these businesses, but how many of them are successful? Absolutely. That's the thing. It's the success rate that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Sheletta, why is it that when we're trying to get this business credit, that some people may even find that it is just so, you know, oh my God, you know, this is just not something that I can do? What is it that you can say to them that can kind of alleviate that, you know, when they're trying to go through that process?
So my thing is, you know, I would say, and I didn't realize that it was as many people out here literally, you know, like giving information on business credit, right? I would say this: find that 1 or 2 people that you can literally connect with, somebody who's accessible, that if you DM them, ask them a question or something, they're gonna respond. Because I'll say this, and if you're watching this video, you probably already know about Quill for a net 30 account, right? Quill is one of the vendors that I use for my clients. One of the things that I've heard was you can open up a business credit account with Quill and use $50 to open it up. That's not true. So let me just say this: if you're gonna build business credit, I would ask my first thing on my questionnaire is, do you have a budget? What's your budget?
Oh my gosh.
What's your budget? Because if you're building business credit, remember, you can open up these accounts, but if you're not ordering or purchasing from the vendors and building a business relationship, they're not going to report to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, or Experian, or Credit Safe. And by the way, I know you hear that there are only 3 business bureaus. There are actually 8 that's reported. So that's why I'm your concierge, because I'm out here in these internet streets making these phone calls to these companies,
Girl, not in the
finding out what
streets.
their
Not in the
requirements
streets.
are.
Not in the
Yeah,
streets,
no,
Sheletta.
for real, finding out what the requirements are, because I believe, and you know this, Shannon, I believe in correct information. We don't want to mislead people. And so when you go to Quill and you put $50 in your cart, it's going to ask you for your credit card information. Your first order from Quill needs to be $100 or more. If you do it and it's at $100 over, you're going to have an invoice option. FYI, if you do an Amazon business account and you come with a Gmail email, you will be denied. Make sure that you have a professional email. info@bizcreditdoneforyou.com. Make sure that your email address is professional. So it's those things that my clients come in and I'm like, okay, look, what does your business profile look like at Dun & Bradstreet? Have you even taken a look at your business profile? What are they reporting that your annual revenue? Where's your annual revenue? I know you got a whole lot of talk about people saying, I went to the car dealership and I got this vehicle in my business name. Guess what? My company has a vehicle in its business name as well. But let me tell you what they look for. Can they Google you? Can they validate your business? Like, these are the questions that literally we are building businesses. Legacy for our children and our grandchildren. We're not serial entrepreneurs that's just trying to get a vehicle in our business name.
That is so true. And something else that I've been finding that a lot of people have been doing too. They'll go through the expense of actually getting a domain name and getting an email address that's commensurate with the domain name, right? info@shannon.com. Okay. And then when I tried to look up Shannon.com, the website doesn't exist.
It's no website. So all of that. So that would be my thing. Making sure that those things are structured on the front end. Because let me just say this: you can open up your Quill, your Uline, and your Granger. But what happens when you go before the angel investor and the hard money lenders or the soft money lenders and you don't have these things in place? Then guess what? There's a denial. I also ask my clients this because I'm a woman of integrity. What does your personal credit look like?
Yeah, it plays.
Because when you get to a certain tier, and I know they tell you about tier 1, 2, and 3 because we call it stacking credit, but literally there are about 8 tiers that you'll get to. And when you get to a certain point, they do take a look at your personal credit. Let me make that be known as well. There are some business credit cards, most of them to be exact, that will look at your personal credit. We call it a soft inquiry. It may not be a hard inquiry, but they want to see what type of person, because your personal credit also tells me what your character is like. We all go through hard times. We've all had struggles. There is nobody perfect. So I'm not trying to act like I'm sitting up here with perfect personal credit. But one thing that I've learned is if you're not at a 700 sometimes or above, you got some 680s that they would actually say, okay, with 680, we'll let you go by. But at the end of the day, they want to take a look at it. So that's basically what I'm saying is you have to don't believe all the hype that you kind of see. I can get you approved with a lot of things without using your personal credit score. But when I go to help you get the funding, get the properties, the real estate investments and different things like that, they really want to see who am I making this deal with?
Yeah. I get asked that question a lot. How can startups get funding? And a lot of the time, they're not overly happy with the answer that they're getting, and they want to do real estate. So now they've got, 4 mortgages. And no, why, so it's that type of stuff that I know that's going on, that you and your services are needed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that they don't want to do, but you have to understand what it is that you're doing. And if it's something that you don't understand, why not go to someone who does? Why not go to someone with integrity? And why not go to someone that can actually give you results?
Right.
Now, Sheletta, is it going to happen overnight?
Oh, absolutely not.
Wait, let's say that
It's
again.
building.
Is it going to happen overnight?
Absolutely not. It's building. But I will say this for your first 5 trade lines, it can happen speedily, but my question would be, do you have a budget set aside for building business credit?
And let's just back up just a little bit. You said your first 5 trade lines. What are trade lines?
Oh, okay.
You're using lingo.
So trade lines are they're reporting to Dun and Bradstreet. If you go on your in your account for Dun and Bradstreet, you will see where it has trade lines. You'll see, so each company that you build a relationship with, as far as purchasing from that company, they're reporting to the bureaus, the business bureaus. Once they report, and you're gonna see one trade line there. So if it's Uline, and Uline is reporting, she's making I love business credit because business credit is so much different than personal credit, and we'll get into that. But with business credit, it's payment experience. So that's how you can determine if you want to build your business credit, then you need to be ordering at least twice a month from each one of those vendors.
If someone were to ask you, would Office Depot be considered a trade line?
Absolutely. Office Depot and Staples, your Crown Office Supplies, any type of, and that's the thing. I get on the phone and I make sure that I call these companies, because all of my clients are individual. When they come to me, they're at different areas in their businesses. Some of my clients, I'm literally, giving them, just saying, okay, leading them step by step, making sure that I'm managing their accounts, making sure that they're on task with, today is the day. 10 to 15 days is where even though they are net 30, which gives net 30 is 30 days they give you to pay your account. Right. A lot of these accounts are ACH transactions, meaning they come out of your bank account. It's not a debit card payment. So it's going to take a little time for them to report to the merchant. Let me say this, if you paying this on day 29, it has not gotten to the merchant, and on a weekend, it's not going to report until about 3 days later. So that means you're at the 33rd day, they're going to report it as late.
A lot of times, but that's the kind of stuff that people don't realize, that they don't know. To them, they're paying it on time. But for us as business owners, we know that on time is 5 days before.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what is the difference between business credit and personal credit? Now, I don't want you to give away too much, because we want folks to contact you in order to get the rest of what they need, because what you give is so invaluable. But just on the surface, what is the difference between business credit and personal credit?
I would say this. Personal credit, depending on your income that you're bringing in, you're going to cap off. It's called debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
They look at your credit utilization, are you over 33%, then you're in the red, because, and I say 20% technically to keep my clients safe. But they look at all of that. Business credit on the other end says, listen, go get the money. Go get, you're going to get approved for so much more. Let's 10x this. So you're going to get approved for 50K. They looking at your personal income. When you go to business credit, they're going to 250K you. They're going to 150K you. You want to go get a vehicle in your name, and you do that before you buying a home, it's going to affect your credit. And most times you cannot get that home because they're going to say, you just went and got a car for $50,000. We can't do it. Well, with business credit, they say, how many cars you need? 10 cars. You need a Sprinter, a Mercedes, a Sprinter. So it's just it's a whole different world. But I will say this, you have to have wisdom as well when you're doing business credit, because at the end of the day, if you misuse that, then you've affected your entire company.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's an amazing world over here in the business world. It really is.
But either way, you have to have discipline. And and that's a part of entrepreneurship in general. You have to have discipline because one, you don't have someone telling you what to do all day. You're not someone, no one is giving you tasks. No one's giving you assignments. You're the one giving the tasks. You're the one giving the assignments. So you have to have discipline anyway.
And let me say this, Shannon. Let me say this one thing. Be sure that your company, your business, whatever that may be, it's bringing in revenue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That because, and I'm going to say this, because if you're taking out of your personal funds to build business credit, it's going to become overwhelming because there is a difference between business credit and lines of business.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure when you're first building your business credit that you have your business is bringing in revenue, because if it's not, because the vendors that you're ordering from, you're going to be ordering supplies, whether it be office supplies, cleaning supplies, whatever those supplies look like, but you're going to have 30 days, a 30-day window, well, less than 30 days if you're my client, to pay that back. So if your company is bringing in revenue, then you're already setting aside I call it a business credit building account. So that's just an FYI for those of you who really ready.
That way they'll have the money to just go on ahead and pay it, right, and just be done with it.
It's not overwhelming.
It shouldn't be.
It's not. It never should be overwhelming. Yeah. But it will be if there is no revenue coming.
And if it's not structured properly. If it's not structured properly.
If it's not structured properly, by the time you get to that second tier, you'll find out it's not structured properly because you're going to start getting denied.
Well, and here's the thing. You need to know about that first tier, about that second tier, and the third tier. But the only way that you guys are going to know about these tiers is to get in contact with Sheletta and let Sheletta help you to put your business on track, to help you get your business to the point where now business credit is really going to be a thing of the past, because you're going to be informed, you're going to be knowledgeable, and you definitely are going to have somebody there that's going to be able to answer your questions. That's basically going to be there, that's going to answer the questions because she's been through it. She has clients that she's currently taking through the process. And she also has clients who have gone through the process. So she knows her stuff. She knows what it is that she's doing. Sheletta, how can we get in contact with you? What would be the best way to contact you for more information, and then also to hire you so that we can start getting our business credit where it needs to be?
Absolutely. So, of course, you can go to my website. It's bizcreditdfy.com. And there you can see all of my services that I provide, step-by-step information. There's some information on there, as well as some testimonials of clients that have maximized and leveraged their account, business credit building. I do all the heavy lifting for you. So that's my VIP white glove red carpet service that I offer.
You better say that.
I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Biz Credit Done For You. It's my Instagram page. I have a Facebook group. You can join my Facebook group. It's Biz Credit Done For You on Facebook. So you could just Google me as well, Sheletta Fisher. I am an accredited business here in Atlanta, Georgia with the Better Business Bureau. I have an A+ rating. Just do Sheletta Fisher. I'm going to come up. You can Google me.
You can definitely find her because she is the real deal. Yeah. Sheletta, I want to thank you for coming in and just sharing these little nuggets of wisdom, because it's information that we need. It's information that business owners, entrepreneurs, even those who are seasoned, because some seasoned entrepreneurs and business owners still don't have business credit. So it's important to be able to have this information. So I want to thank you for just coming on and sharing these little nuggets with us. You know for a fact that I love you.
I love you too. I love you so much.
Well, thank you. And once again, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to another video. Remember, we said that we were going to try to get these videos up and popping for you guys at least once a week. So let us know in the comments how we're doing. And if you haven't already subscribed, that's what we need you guys to do. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you're hitting that bell so that you'll know every time a new video is uploaded. Give us that thumbs up, like what we're doing, and again, leave us comments so that we'll know how we're doing and let us know what other sorts of content you need for the channel. So, hey, it's Shannon. Thanks for watching Shannon On Demand, and we'll see you next time.